Welcome to the Libertarian Party of Colorado's July board meeting. I'm currently letting people in online. I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Mr. Secretary, will you please take our attendance?
Okay, chair is obviously here, vice chair.
Here.
Treasurer is currently vacant. Secretary is here, affiliates is currently vacant. Campaigns.
Campaigns is online.
I'm here.
Communications,
Here.
fundraising. Legislative
Here.
and membership. And outreach.
Yep, present.
And as the attendance full.
Did you go all the way through attendance? I didn't hear.
Yes, we did.
Legislative just hopped online. I don't know if you marked Mr. Vance present.
Yeah, you're right in front of me.
Oh, okay. All right then. Okay, moving forward. So tonight we have a lot of work to get through. So I'm going to limit public comment to 10 minutes, 2 minutes per person. I'm going to have help navigating the room from Mr. I don't know. Mr. Buss, can you help me navigate the room for hand raising? And then I'll do online as well.
Okay. Would you like to start? I was going to say the young lady wants to start.
Well, if
Betty Rose. He's called on Betty Rose.
I just,
then Miss Rose, you have the floor.
it's all right. I just want the board to think about this. I know what y'all are doing, and whether I agree or disagree, if we had nominated a governor candidate at the state convention, Jefferson County decided they didn't like it, tried to put somebody else on, that would be a violation of violence. What we're doing by not putting Chase on is a violation. I don't know if I agree with him or anything else, but in 2008, nobody liked Bob Barr. That was our candidate. And you open yourself up to not only litigation, but to rogue affiliates. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. I will call on Karen Ann Harlos online and then we'll go back to the room. Miss Harlos, you have the floor. Well, hold on. I think we have the mic issue. Allow mic. I unmuted your mic. Now you can unmute it. Sorry. This is Teams is where I have to allow your mic and then you have to unmute your mic. Mr. Marinovich, can you assist me with Karen Ann's microphone?
I'm looking at it right now. It is enabled.
Okay. This is super frustrating. I will come back to you, Ms. Harlos. I don't know exactly what to do in this situation currently.
Yeah, I was gonna ask her to rejoin.
Okay. Did she? Let's see.
Maybe go to the room while we wait.
Oh, she's in the law. Okay, she's Karen Ann, just rejoin. Let me allow. Okay, her mic is good. Let's try it again.
Yeah,
There we go.
I
Yep.
think leaving and coming back in, I will be brief. As Ms. Rose had stated, this is a breach of the bylaws that was laid out very clearly in my appeal. And whether or not the appeal is granted, it will be a continuing breach of the bylaws as long as the breach continues. I would like to caution the board, and with the disclaimer that I am not an attorney, but I obviously know something about the law, as the board knows full well. This can open you up to litigation. You may think if you're opened up to litigation that you're protected by corporate immunity. I would highly suggest that you research that, because knowing breaches of the bylaws, and there's no way the board can say it didn't know, because I was contacted by Andy Bukovich prior to you guys thinking that you weren't going to put the candidate on at all. And I went over all of the bylaws. So there definitely was knowledge. And this is even more egregious. So with the fact that there is definitely knowledge, if someone decided that they were going to take the board to court, you are open to personal liability. Anyone who takes the treasurer position knowing this is a complete fool, because no one would open themselves up to personal liability. And I'm going to caution you even further. I saw the fundraising email earlier. Doing fundraising and asking money from people, knowing that you might, with an outstanding JC appeal and potential litigation, be asking money from people in this manner, could open you up not just to civil liability, but to criminal liability with the Attorney General's office, because it would be considered fraudulent political fundraising. I'm not saying I'm a criminal expert at all. I am cautioning the board. Despite our current disagreement, you all were friends of mine. I literally loved Hannah Goodman, and I do not want anything bad to happen to you all. You are going down a very, very dangerous path with the FEC and potential breach of duty. The breach of duty also includes depriving the Libertarian Party of Colorado of delegates. And also, you have just given ammunition to Top 4, because one of the arguments against Top 4 is that libertarians and other third parties value their ballot lines for actual candidates that were nominated by their parties legitimately. But you just said, we don't really care. We'll put on basically a Democrat. So now the Top 4 people can say they don't value their ballot line. They'll be happy as long as one of the better Democrats ends up in the Top 4. You are selling the party down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. We will, thank you, Ms. Arlos. We will go back to the room. Mr. Alicio Gonzalez, will you run the floor?
Hey, sir, you have 2 minutes. Jones. Go ahead, Mr. Jones. Yeah, we can hear you, but go ahead. I think that's good enough.
Okay, yeah, I don't know about the legal issues involved, and I really don't know, about the bylaws involved. It would be the good faith thing to do, get a candidate nominated at the national level for a national position, to put them on the ballot, and to not put them on the ballot, and instead put candidate on who got, what, 19 votes out of 900. the national convention. I think that really defies the will of the party. It's a bad faith.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Madam Chair, would you like to go online for public comment?
We don't have any more?
Yes. No, in the room, we have more for public comment, but he's asking if online you have others you want.
I don't have any more online.
Mr. Atwood, you are recognized 2 minutes.
CRC's, John Caldera's Center Right Coalition, meetings have gone on sabbatical. We're not certain when they're going to resume. Today was the first meeting that they've been canceled. We'll see what happens. I happen to be your liaison for that. Before we had the larger crowd, I started being generous with $2 bills with regards to my trifecta bill bet. The trifecta is that Biden will be out of the race, Trump will be out of the race, DeSantis and Nikki Haley will be in for the Republicans, Gavin Newsom for the Democrats, and DeSantis wins in November. Put your $2 bill with my business card in November, and we'll see what comes to pass. I view this as entertainment more than investment, but we'll see what happens. For people that were here earlier, I passed out a review of a board game entitled Chicago, Chicago, which discussed the Democrat convention in 1968 and fuse it kind of amusingly. And I hope any deal that was made with RFK, I hope was a very good deal. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atwood. Is there further public comment in the room?
Yeah, Mr. Wiley, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I wanted to speak to the deal that's been created over the last several weeks. I've been a key component in making that happen, communicating with elements of the campaign as well as with all of you to try and execute on that. And politics is a game of power. The reason why so many people are present at this meeting is because there's a power exchange happening here, and it's important that we recognize that this is a move that is changing the nature and form of the Libertarian Party into what it inevitably will be. Whether we complete this move and execute it on it and spread that to other states is up to us to decide whether or not we're going to be successful in transitioning from the third party to the second party to the first party in America. That is an inevitable action. We are headed that direction. Whether or not we're going to succeed is dependent on whether or not this fire of liberty will spread from Colorado to other states. So encourage other states who are listening to what Colorado is doing tonight to please do the bold thing, please do the brave thing, and please do the thing that's going to result in the maximum amount of liberty for all of America. Thank you. And James Wiley, Executive Director of Libertarian Party of Colorado. Thanks.
Thank you. Also, Mr. Secretary, I would just like to let you know our membership director and our fundraising director are present online. Just a little late on the draw. Is there any more public comment in the room?
Sir, you're recognized 2 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Hufstetter. I'm coming in with, as a few others have, to basically say, the Libertarian Party was established to oppose laws that effectively exclude candidates and parties, deny ballot access, gerrymander districts, or deny voters their right to consider all legitimate alternatives. The party is organized and implemented to give voice to the principles embodied in the statement principles. For example, by nominating candidates for president and vice president of the United States and supporting party and affiliate party candidates for presidential office, political office. These come from the national bylaws. Whether or not somebody is in favor of Chase or in favor of somebody else, I believe that we are destroying the party by not supporting the party nominee. We're showing the nation that we don't care for, what the party does, and we're just gonna keep the name and go with what we wanna do. I don't wanna see the party do that. I don't wanna see that happen here in Colorado. I wanna see us, like he was saying, become the second party, first party. And like Jay said, it's a small pond, small fish. He wants to make the pond bigger. He wants to make more fish here. Whether he gets president or not, his push is to get libertarian access in all 50 states and to build the party from within. And that's what I want to see him do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, you're recognized.
Thank you. My name is Amanda. I actually started out at the Independence Institute as an intern way back in 2007, so I'm no stranger to liberty. I've been a libertarian for a long time, although I've been a registered independent that entire time, just because I don't get involved with party stuff. Although as a very hardcore libertarian, voluntarist, in fact, I'm a huge fan of RFK Jr. I've been listening to him for years. So when he talked about running for president, I was so excited because I loved everything that he had to say. Aside from some of his policies, big government policies, of course, he's not perfect, we don't agree on that. But the man is awesome. The man is a libertarian in a lot of ways. And I think it's just phenomenal that the Libertarian Party of Colorado put him on the ballot. I don't know anything about the bylaws. I don't know anything about that, to be fair, but as somebody who's libertarian and also hangs out with a lot of average people, I don't think anyone's gonna care about all the bylaws, whether the party did the right thing or the wrong thing for politics. If they hear RFK speak, they're gonna like him because he's pretty amazing. He cares about things that we care about. He cares about free speech, cares about telling people how dangerous the government can be, how corrupt the government can be, and he understands the issue with the big pharma, the pharmaceutical complex. And we need more people to know about that. COVID opened the door, and now Kennedy helped bring it home. So I love him to win the presidency, and I'm so thankful to the LP Colorado. I'm a registered libertarian because thank you.
Thank you. How many more hands are raised in the room?
These two more for public comment, Madam Chair. More.
Okay. I'm going to extend public comment just so everyone can talk. There's one more person online. I'll call the Jacob Luria online, and then the other two in the room can speak after.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I don't mind being the last one to speak, so everybody
Okay.
who's here who hasn't been here can speak first.
Perfect. Thank you. Go back to the room, Mr. Gonzalez.
Right, Adam, you have 2 minutes.
My name's Adam Daniel, and I've been a libertarian since 2007, and I didn't register for the party until 2022 because I saw folks were trying to change up in this party that I felt was largely ineffective for a large number of years. Here in Colorado, I feel like the leadership has challenged the status quo in multiple ways, and one of those ways was last year even with the Republican Party to get them to sign agreements with us to stay out of races. Sitting right next to me is Elizio Gonzalez running for Arapahoe County Commissioner. This strategy is working. And I, for one, like this moment. I didn't go to the national convention. I had family obligations. I wasn't passionate about any candidate. I'm not passionate about Chase. I wasn't passionate about Rank Wall. But you can look at the impact that this agreement has had and look at the initial post that was made and challenge you to find one post about Chase Oliver anywhere on Twitter that's had that many likes on it. So I'm not speaking to the bylaws or any of those things, but this is having impact and it will have impact down ballot. Our goal is to get libertarians elected. This will have more of a likelihood of getting libertarians elected than Chase Oliver or Michael Rankenwald or Josh Smith or any of the people we had at convention. So we've also gotten him to sign a similar agreement to what the Republicans signed to change his policy positions more in our way. This is how we created it. So I'm just telling you all that I'm in favor of this, and it seems like a lot of people in a state that has more independent voters than any other state in the country.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, the next person.
Mr. Hirschman, you're recognized.
John Jersman, El Paso County. As a libertarian, I feel deprived by not having libertarian candidate national convention. I think that LPCO is going to alienate a lot of membership. Chase was a member of choice, but I would like to have a full board member. And the Libertarian candidate on the ballot is good for the party. Having no Libertarian candidate makes us irrelevant.
Mr. Pierschmidt, we're gonna go with Josh here next. Go ahead.
What's up, everybody? My name is Josh. I have been a member of the Libertarian Party for years. I've been an anarchist since 2013, and only in the last couple of years have I seen the need to join the party because I felt like it was actually doing something different. The party's been around for 50 years, and it's accomplished almost nothing. I apologize to everyone in the room who has tried. I thank you all for everything you have done. But if we're being honest, the party has done very little. I would like to try something different. If we go back to 50 years ago when the party was started, David Nolan talked about this repeatedly. The point of the party is not to win elections. It is to advance liberty. So I beg you all, do whatever we can to advance liberty. And I think the most important thing that the Libertarian Party can do is focus on messaging. And someone like RFK, who is not perfect, is an amazing messenger and has a great message. And we can have the ability to finally channel the discussion further towards liberty. And as much as I love Chase, I moderated 2 debates with the man. I just don't think that he has the ability to do that. So I applaud the board for trying to do something different so that we don't just keep losing the same way we have been for the last 50 years. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have one of our board members wants to do public comment. But, we'll go ahead and let Ms. Fensky give public comment. Ms. Fensky, 2 minutes.
Hi there, my name is Jessica Bensky. Hate to call myself an activist, but that's what I do now. So I'm in Jefferson County, but as people know around the state, I show up at multiple affiliate meetings. I go to different Liberty on the Rocks, different meetings. I'm part of multiple coalitions here in Colorado with Democrats, Republicans, independents, anarchists, all sorts of people. The energy behind this decision from all these people who are the ones who show up, the ones who are showing up down at the Capitol and testifying, the ones who are showing up at their city council meetings, the ones who are showing up at the county commissioner meetings. These are the people who are fighting the government, and they support this decision. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fensky.
So Michael does have public comment, Madam Chair, but he's part of the board. I don't know if you want to give him the last comment.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Oh, okay, so ready? Okay. Oh, actually, we'll have Gus go and then Gus go. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
I'll go last, yeah.
I'll be brief.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Augustino.
So I just wanted to speak in favor of it because a couple of things that have been said before. I have complete respect for the people who do have respect for bylaws and the proper procedure that should be followed. However, the word relevancy and messaging has already come up, and I think that we are already teetering on the edge of irrelevancy and uselessness. And I'm someone who also kind of joined relatively late, similar to Josh, but also a very similar story to Josh. And what brought me into it was the ability to actually get messaging out there and to change people's minds and to spread the message of liberty. If we are just doing the same thing that we've always done to get no results, but just stay on the ballot in all 50 states, I don't see that as actually advancing any cause. And when I saw the screenshot of RFK's initials on that pledge, I don't know if I could see a bigger splash being made. And what I said the other night to some people was I need to be able to speak through the loudest megaphone. And Chase is not that megaphone, but RFK is. And I actually am not even sure if Chase would even sign the pledge that RFK signed. So to me, that's actually a pretty important point. And so I just want to be on the record to say that I'm in favor of this.
Thank you.
Ready? Go ahead. Well,
I
you
see
gotta cut the time,
Frank
so we'll go ahead and go with you, and then that'll be the end of public comment. Madam Chair, will we have public comment at the end?
Yes, there'll be we'll limit to 2 minutes again at the end.
Okay. All right. Ready? All right, cool. All right, real quick, I want to read a statement from a former Libertarian. My name is Joe Jameson. I'm a proud gay man, husband, father, and director of the LGBT nonprofit organization Gays Against Groomers. I am no longer a registered libertarian directly related to the nomination of Chase Oliver as Libertarian candidate for president of the United States. Furthermore, I am an official representative of Gays Against Groomers. I am here to formally denounce Chase Oliver's candidacy. Gays Against Groomers, like the Libertarian Party, supports the freedom of any competent adult to make individual choices for their own body as they see fit, including but not limited to seeking gender-affirming care. Mr. Oliver's support of gender-affirming care in minors does not support the Libertarian Party or Gays Against Groomers' values as a minor is not competent. Values as a minor is not competent to make permanent life-altering decisions. It is a medical fact that the prefrontal cortex is not fully formed until approximately the age of 25. This means their brains are not fully developed enough to have a responsible decision-making process able to weigh right, much less the most common risks from transition at early ages, such as bone density loss, lower IQ, severe mood swings, sterilization, increased suicidal ideations, or even choosing for themselves to be on lifelong medications. Myself and Gays Against Groomers ask you to revoke support for Mr. Oliver's candidacy for the Libertarian Party of Colorado and nationally, because, again, Gays Against Groomers nationally came out with the same exact, a very similar statement this afternoon. And they wish for us to put America's youth first. So I just want to say that this decision is literally chasing away people of minority backgrounds from the Libertarian Party. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. I'm closing public comment. I will open it back up at the end of the board meeting. I just have a lot of things to get through tonight. Are there any additions to the agenda this evening?
Yes, there are. We have one that's aptly titled Public Flogging. We have one called Member Resolution from Jacob. We have an RFK resolution from J. Todd Hicks. We have a process for the director turnover and CHA and the SOS issue.
No. The additions like the director turnover process, that was for our executive committee agenda. So the things that I added to that from our meeting earlier, you can remove those. Those were just for us to process as being issues that need solved. Okay, thank you. So, is there any objection to these additions to the agenda? Hearing no objection, the agenda passes. Now we move on to approval of the minutes. We have 7 sets of minutes. I wanted to make sure that they are thoroughly gone through. And so I'm asking Mr. Buss to read them out as efficiently as possible to make sure that these minutes are accurate, correct, and have been read through. And that way we can pass them. Mr. Buss, you have the floor.
Okay, so everyone get a nice blankie. Okay, so we're going to start off. We actually have 5 sets that we do need to read. This one is from May 13, 2024. It was the stated communication or regular communication. Basically, the only people from the board that were absent was the membership director, and the vacancies was the campaigns and fundraising. There was no proxies. We called to order at 7 o'clock. We had public comment, and Frank Atwood and Mr. Rutledge was trying to get in, but he had some hardware issues and get them resolved. So we're not sure what he was trying to do. The proposed agenda was approved without objection. There was no affiliate reports. There was no ANC representative. Board reports. The chair working hard on the campaign, driving the LPCO forward. Still working on technical issues with the migration to Microsoft 365. Vice chair was working over 60 hours a week for the LPCO and 12 on his campaign. The treasurer has successfully filed the required reports of the Secretary of State on May 6, 2024, and has started the production of balance sheets and profit and loss statements. Secretary, the reports are complete. We need to work on some of our processes. Communications, working on the Twitter and press releases. Legislative with Liberty on the Rocks for May 15, and the executive was traveling around Grand Junction and have a good old time. Reports, staff reports, databases having some issues with emails, which we appear to have got resolved. Reports for committees, merchandising was none, audit was none, convention was none. No special orders, no unfinished business. And there's one which is going to be kind of amusing for later on today, but IS Political, I stated that the IS Political is an all-in-one finance and campaign platform, and we've been trying to do this to automate all of the reports that are required by the APC and everything in this platform. It's going to cost $350 a month. We agreed to pay the $350 a month. And it was all under the auspices that the National was going to be going to the same thing, and they've suddenly switched and gone to Soho, so you can find later on this evening we're going to discuss that. I moved that the Libertarian Party of Colorado expend up to $400 a month on the IS Political platform to subscribe our campaigns, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez and passed by the board. The fundraising director, Goodman introduced Jennifer Aronovich and allowed her to discuss her ideas on being appointed the LPCO fundraising director. And she talked about trying to get a goal of $100,000 in fundraising, which we're all keen on. So I myself moved for the appointment, and Mr. Gonzalez seconded the motion passed by the board. We then had a talk from Good Initiatives, and she was working with Mr. Wiley. Good Initiatives is working to get 3 legislative bills that will be on the November ballot. And after a long discussion, I motioned that the LPCO donates $500 to help cover the subscription. Mr. Vance seconded, and the motion passed by the board. There was no nothing else. A couple of and then there was a couple of affiliate meeting notices were presented. Ms. Goodman set the next board meeting at the June 10th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Independent Institute of Denver. Virtual participation will also be available. The meeting was adjourned at 8:16 p.m. So that's
Are there, let's approve these or not. Are there any additions to the May minutes, which Mr. Buss just read? Are there any corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, those are approved.
Woo-hoo. Hey guys, just suffer with us. May, June. So we have this is a special, oh, that's 20, sorry. Okay, the 10th. This is a normal stated meeting. And the only person that was missing was our membership director. Vacant was the affiliates. We had no proxies. Our normal staff members were here. No outside board members, and the LNC representatives are no, there was none. Ms. Goodman called the meeting to order at 7:04 PM. Okay, Ron, and I'm gonna get this wrong. Tupac, who's a Democrat from CD7, presented why we as a Libertarian Party should oppose the proposition number 310 on the on the November election. It is well received by the members. Interesting. The proposed agenda was received without objection. There was no reports from affiliates. The LNC representative, it was reported that Region 1 of the LNC now accounts for about 20% of the entire membership. We're reminded to consider paying some of the out-of-pocket expenses for the Region 1 representative. Board reports, there were none. Reports to staff. Mr. Atkins thanked the treasurer for her efforts in keeping the financials current. Reports of committees, merchandising none, audit none, convention none, orders, unfinished business none. And now we've got a couple of meaty resolutions. Whereas the Libertarian Party of Colorado bylaws grant the authority over presidential candidate nominations to the board, whereas the purpose of the LPCO is outlined in Article 2 of our bylaws is to provide leadership and direction to the Libertarian movement in Colorado and communicate this message and positions of the party. Whereas the LPCO members understand that the purpose of the clearly achieved by understanding how power actually functions in this country and using the understanding to oppose the counter-signaling and regime in real time. Whereas the nationally nominated ticket was repeatedly failed to acknowledge the regime's true role in critical issues such as COVID-19 masking, distancing, so-called gender-affirming care, and subdivision of the rule of law against former President Trump, which began with the intelligence agency crafting lies about Russian collusion and has devolved into Soviet-level lawfare. Whereas a nationally nominated ticket has shown a consistent unwillingness to challenge the expansion of state power and has failed to provide a clear, principled, libertarian alternative to current politics. Whereas such stances are incompatible with the psychology of individuals who understand the workings of power and seek to oppose it. Whereas the LPCO's electoral strategy aims to leverage our position to secure concessions that advance liberty and undermine the regime in the unwinnable races while building a local branch of elected officials who can eventually win. Whereas nominating a candidate who cannot credibly oppose the regime is fundamentally incompatible with the values and the strategies of the LPCO. It be resolved that the LPCO will not submit paperwork to place the Oliver Dumont ticket on the presidential ballot. Further resolved that the LPCO will explore all available options in accordance with existing electoral strategy. It will further be resolved that the LPCO calls on the Libertarian National Committee to either decertify the Oliver Tremont ticket or permit states to pursue their own electoral strategies to maximize libertarian outcomes as authorized by the national bylaws. Stanky seconded the motion and was passed with a vote of the board. Okay, and we got another one. The affiliates director resignation moved and was accepted. The resignation was seconded by Mr. Gonzalez and passed by the board. Mr. Gonzalez moved a resolution opposing the implementation of ranked choice voting, whereas ranked choice voting, also known as ballot initiative, undermines the integrity and simplicity of the democratic process in Colorado. Whereas ranked choice voting can lead to confusion among the voters, as it requires them to rank candidates in order of preference, preferably disenfranchising those who are unfamiliar with the system. Whereas choice voting may result in election of candidates who are not the most preferred choice of the majority, as lower ranked votes can ultimately determine the winner. Whereas ranked choice voting often necessitates complex and expensive voting systems, which could constrain limited electoral resources and increase administrative burdens. Whereas ranked choice voting may exacerbate political polarization and encourage voters to select extreme candidates as their choice rather than compromising on more moderate options. Whereas ranked choice voting could hinder minority party representation by diluting the impact of bloc voting and undermining the ability of minor party candidates to build broad coalitions. Therefore, it be resolved that the Libertarian Party opposes the ballot initiative and/or adoption of ranked choice voting and urges policymakers to preserve the judicial plurality-based voting system, which is straightforward, transparent, and best reflects the electors' will. This resolution was seconded by Ms. Stanky and passed with a vote of the board. There was no other notices. We had a couple of affiliate meetings, and then Ms. Goodman set the next board meeting to July 8, 2024 at 7 o'clock in Independent Institute. And virtual participation is available. The meeting was adjourned at roughly 8:06 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Buss. I would also like to just remind everyone that the second resolution is essentially null and void. The spirit of the resolution was to condemn the jungle primaries. The resolution was written really quickly, and it conflicts technically with our bylaws. So I'm just letting everyone know there was actually an error made there. I have 2 hands raised from directors online. I'll call on James Williams first, Alicio Gonzalez, and then I'll call on Michael Vance. Mr. Williams.
Evening. The only change on any of that was on the June 10th meeting. I was there.
Okay.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Really quickly, Madam Chair, my apologies, I accidentally read a draft versus the final copy of that resolution. It was meant to read this bastardized version of ranked choice voting, but it didn't reflect that in the reading of it, but that was the intent, that this Proposition 310 is a bastardized version of ranked choice voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, are there any further corrections to be made to the minutes for June?
I got a quick clarification I want to ask about on
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Gonzalez's initiative. It sounded to me that Mr. Gonzalez did actually say that the phrase ranked choice voting was a reference to Initiative 310. Am I mistaken in that? Because I believe it still sounds like he was not necessarily talking about anything that would violate our bylaws, but just Initiative 310 itself.
But it's what it says. It says ranked choice voting, also known as ballot Initiative 310.
Yes. So yeah, he's calling it 310, therefore not a violation. So I don't think it would necessarily be null and void. Can anybody correct me if I'm wrong on that?
I'm not sure, but I do know that the spirit was specifically speaking to Initiative 310, which is the jungle primaries issue. So that's exactly what we condemn, not the actual method of ranked choice voting, just for clarification. So moving on, are there any further corrections? It's the platform rather than the bylaws. Is there any further corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, those minutes pass. Mr. Buss?
Guys ready for another slow? Okay. All right then, so these are the minutes. This is a special meeting held on June 24th, 2024. Basically, the chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, executive, campaigns, the communications, the outreach, the legislative, database, and Adam Harmon and Romaine Garcia were also present. Ms. Goodman pulled the meeting to order at 7:03, and it was held all by virtual participation. Mr. Wiley commented on the need for us to discuss the issue fully, and it's not without risk. Ms. Goodman informed us that the meeting would go into executive session and only board members and would be allowed, but when we return from executive session, anyone would be welcome as normal. Ms. Goodman stated that we need to discuss the F. Kennedy campaign, reaching out and making some interesting overtures that needed to be considered. Ms. Goodman noted that she did not want to go any further without us discussion. Members present at the board and Mr. Harmon went into executive session around 7:15. We returned from executive decision, and thus myself moved that Mrs. Goodman and our ad hoc committee should continue the negotiations with the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. campaign and report back on or before July 8th, 2024, the regular stated meeting of the LPCO. Mr. Gonzalez seconded it after the vote of the board. The meeting was adjourned without objection at 8:40.
Thank you, Mr. Bliss. Are there any corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, those minutes stand approved. Onward and upward, Mr. Buss.
Spending my money today. Okay. So these are another special set of meeting minutes for July 2nd, 2024. President, is chair, vice chair, secretary, the executive, campaigns, communication, fundraising, outreach, membership, legislative, and Adam Harmon. And Adam Harmon and the executive are not members of the board. Ms. Goodman called the meeting to order at 7:05, and it's held by virtual participation only. Mr. Wiley commented for the board to fully understand that we're all under a non-disclosure agreement. There should be some information discussed that would be very party sensitive. Mrs. Goodman informed us that the meeting would go into executive session. Only board members and Adam Hammond would be allowed. But when we return from executive session, anyone would be welcome as normal. Ms. Goodman stated that we must discuss the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. campaign response to, so I put to our questions and demands. Members president of the board and Mr. Adam Hammond went into executive session at around 7:10. And then we returned, and Mr. Gonzalez, Francis Kennedy Jr. and Nicole Shanahan as the president and vice president nominee party 2024 presidential election. This motion was seconded by myself, Bus, and Ms. Goodman insisted that we did a roll call vote and she would abstain. So the roll call vote is chair, abstain, vice chair was yes, secretary was yes, campaigns yes, communications yes, fundraising yes, outreach yes, membership yes, legislative yes. The motion passed. The meeting was adjourned without objection at 7:46.
Thank you, Mr. Buss. Are there any corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, those stand approved as written.
Okay, and just because I'm an idiot, you have one meeting set of minutes that needed my list, which were from April, so, well, nearly April 1st, so therefore we got it sorted out. So president of that was the chair, vice chair, the treasurer, the secretary of communications, outreach and legislative. Absent was the membership, and vacant was affiliates, campaigns and fundraising. Rushing through this, call to order was made at 7 p.m. and it's held in the Independent Institute and also virtual participation. Opportunity for public comment and Frank Atwood and Mr. James Wiley made comments. Proposed agenda was approved. There was no reports from affiliates, no reports from the LNC, board reports. There was none. And Dave, Mr. Atkin, needed a complete list of the delegates and alternates as quickly as possible. Going to DC. Reports from committee, merchandising none, audit none, benching none, unfinished business none. And we had a brief discussion was held on engaging the human resources and payroll provider to handle W-2 and or 1099 employees. Several software platforms are available. Providers were identified from Gusto to ADP were mentioned. Mr. Gonzalez mentioned that we expend up to $300 a month. That was seconded by myself and passed with a customer vote. The finance committee will make the selection and engage provider later. This woman mentioned that Aaron Lamb became a delegate for Colorado to the National Libertarian Conference. Motion was seconded by myself and passed with a customer vote. The Phillips director, Goodman, noted that James Beaton becomes our affiliate director. Goodman asked Beaton to introduce himself, say some word. The motion was seconded by myself and passed with a customer vote. Couple of affiliate notices given, and Ms. Goodman set the next board meeting to May 13, 2024 at 7. The meeting location will be the Independent Institute. Virtual participation will also be available. Meeting was adjourned without objection at 7:50 p.m. I promise, that's it, guys. That's it.
Thank you. Well done, Mr. Secretary. Are there any corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, they are approved as written. Thank you. We have all of that out of the way. I realize that is quite a process. Moving on, do we have any representation from any county affiliates that wish to speak tonight?
I can speak for Jeffco.
Go ahead, Mr. Loria.
So we had our last meeting. Brandon Ward came to speak to us. Natalie mentioned also came, both giving us a county and state legislative update. Natalie mentioned talking about RTD races. It was also the first meeting back for Betty Rose Ryan in a while, so it was really nice to have her back. And then we had a new member who has been wanting to get involved for a while, but just has now finally has the time, has a new car, so that's really great. We'll hold our next meeting the last Thursday of July, again at the gallery, and we have done a good job now of transitioning. They have a free classroom, so we have a speaker and then we transition into a social hour.
Great, thank you. Ms. Harlos, are you willing to speak on behalf of Douglas County?
Yes, I am. I have the chair sitting next to me. We have not had a chance yet to have a board meeting, but I know the sentiments of the majority of the board, and the Libertarian Party of Douglas County roundly condemns what the LPCO board has done. It is not the decision of the executive director or the board to decide that they're going to change the bylaws in the direction of the party. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harlos. Is there any county representation in the room that wishes to speak to their county affiliate?
Chair, we do have a hand raised from El Paso County.
Perfect, you have the floor.
Just want to keep this brief. I'm Rebecca Craig. I'm from El Paso County. I'm the chair. I'm new to this world, so I'm mostly here to observe, but I do want to endorse the decision of the state. The definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing and expecting a different result. And one of the biggest things I've observed in coming into this role is in my local affiliate is the unbelievable amount of nothing happening. Nothing happening for a very long time. And that's unacceptable. I think radicalism is kind of a radical word to describe logic in this scenario. It feels like it's the only thing to do is to do something different. And I also want to say another point is I don't know how we got to the point of endorsing any candidate that supports child abuse in any form. And that's not something that I want to associate with at all under any circumstances. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Craig. Is there any further county representation in the room that wishes to speak from their affiliate?
Madam Chair, we have the Chair of Denver.
Kyle Fury,
You have the floor.
Kyle Fury, Chair of Denver. We have our next meetup coming up this Wednesday at 7 p.m. That's at the Atomic Cowboy on Broadway.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. I guess anyone from Arapahoe want to speak? If not, we can move on.
I can speak out of McDaniel Communications for Arapahoe. We have a meetup tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. in the street.
Thank you. All right. Reports from LNC representatives. We had our two reps on the line. I believe they are off. I don't currently see them on my list anymore. Let's see, reports, board reports. So this month obviously has been quite an active month for the LPCO. I've been working overtime in my position to try and finagle my board, reconciliation committees, other campaigns, regular business. I attended all of our work session meetings, which happen every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m., where we work with project management. The political committee has been deeply focused on political strategy this month, as the marketing committee has been working to really figure out how to streamline and update our website, get the merch store up and functional, as well as how we're going to best communicate with members about upcoming things and get ready for membership drives, as well as call outs for helping candidate campaigns. That's what I have for my board report this evening. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I am on two committees, the Finance Committee and the Party Committee. The Finance Committee has met for the most part of June and the beginning of July. It looks like finances are very healthy right now. I will give you the actual amount of money in our accounts. Hopefully by the end of the week, we did have our treasurer resign and I was not able to get those figures before the resignation. In terms of the party committee, we've also been meeting and planning events coming up in late Q2, early Q3, which is somewhere around now. We're in Q3, and then other events happening in Q4 of 2024. We had onboarding with new members of the committee, which is our fundraising director and our membership director. We'll be moving forward with planning more events in Q3 or Q4, end of Q3 or middle of Q3, and an event in Q4.
Thank you so much. Mr. Buss.
Everyone's heard so much from me, I'm just gonna let it be.
Yes, you've been working on minutes and convention minutes as well. Our treasurer is currently vacant. Our affiliates is currently vacant. Mr. Loria, can you update us about campaigns?
Sure. It looks like Mr. Gonzalez has his hand up, so I just want to make sure he didn't have a question about a previous report.
Sorry, no, sorry about
Okay. And then my joke was going to be, Ashley, since you're British, I assume the Let It Be comment was a Beatles reference, but I don't know.
Give out apples?
So this month has been pretty busy, working, talking with volunteers and members of the RFK campaign, also working with some of our current candidates. This is definitely not a year where we have the most candidates running, but at least in the short time I've been here, which I understand I haven't been campaign director for, a very long time. It seems like a lot of our candidates are a little bit more prepared. One nice thing about our congressional candidates right now, we haven't put out an official announcement. I do want to say congratulations to Hannah. Right now, I think all the votes are in. So she received 9,060 votes in her congressional district, which is a little over 5%, almost 5.5% of the vote, which I think will set her up very nicely. Since Mr. Atwood is also in the room, I do want to congratulate him on his, it's a little over 3,000 votes. I'm sorry, Mr. Atwood, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I know it's almost 2% of the vote, which I think is a very exciting thing. And all of our congressional candidates have at least a few issues that everyone is sort of running the same on, one being very anti-war, which I think is great. Mr. Atwood is our one two-way race in the state Senate campaign. He has a great campaign strategy together. Mr. Gonzalez, I think, is probably our most winnable race for partisan libertarians running. And then Arapahoe has some very great candidates as well. District 61, we have to kind of figure out what's going on there as we got someone on the ballot. We may just have to be switching some candidates, but there's no Democrat in that race. And then one of our state Senate candidates, Ethan Allgreen, there's actually paperwork I will be sending to you, Madam Secretary. He spoke to the Secretary of State. We're going to try and take our chances. There is a Democrat running unopposed in the State Board of Ed race region. I think it's CU Regents or State Board of Ed District 2. Which he is in. He's going to try and move out of his three-way state Senate race into that, making it a two-way race. And I do really want to commend and highlight Ethan Allgreen to everybody. He's up in Longmont. Ethan is a very active person in the political scene, and takes a lot of stuff on by himself. So he really is a go-getter, and he's one of the more impressive candidates I really think that we have running. And also now building up lists and starting to make phone calls to try and round up volunteers. I really definitely encourage everyone to get out and knock some doors, especially if you're in the Denver area, and try and see what we can do for our candidates. I think there's some great down ballot opportunities here this year. And it'd be great if everybody who's not, and you would want to, at least donate $5 a month. I think if we hit a goal of like 2,000 to 3,000 people giving the party $5 a month as a recurring donation, it's not $1 million, but it certainly brings in a good amount. I do also, real quick, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, want to give, and this is my own personal opinion outside of the campaign manager. I did wholeheartedly support what we were doing with RFK, no matter whatever the outcome is on that. I have taken the time to study the Libertarian Party history because as a Mises Caucus member, often understandably, I was accused of not really diving into the history of the party in Colorado and also nationally. What I think is being presented here is a true opportunity for some real strategy. Wasn't around when Ross Perot ran, so I don't know if Ross Perot was even bothered courted or not by the Libertarian Party. But there are a lot of places where the Libertarian Party has failed to support those who were making a difference with the party. I know in the 1980s, Alaska was doing very well, and for whatever reason, the party chose not to support Alaska. There are states like Colorado who have ballot access and maintain it not from spending any mass amount of money. And it is disheartening working as hard as I think a lot of us do, where the party chases a lot of highs that we just aren't able to perform at the moment. And it is disheartening with the amount of money that is spent, and this is not anyone in this room's fault. I'm just saying, amount of money that is spent on ballot access in states for maybe people to be on the ballot and maybe a handful of candidates to even run. There could be money dumped and money supported, PACs started to support candidates like Colorado or Nebraska or Pennsylvania or, I mean, even Idaho, who have, I think, more elected people to office than anybody else. And I don't see that. And so at some point, the states that are working on themselves have to take their own futures into their own hands. And I do also want to comment, I know there are people who feel very betrayed by this situation. I would also point out, though, the Libertarian Party, the way it is set up, nobody really represents a good majority of the party, no matter what anybody thinks. There was not even 1,000 voting delegates at national. That is way less than 1% of the registered libertarians in Colorado. We don't have the money to actually properly survey. We don't do any sort of presidential ballot. The biggest comment we got as a board after the primary ballot came out was, why did I not receive a primary ballot for the Libertarians? Most people don't know how the party operates because we don't have the resources to make people aware of how the party operates. And so I think that's a fair thing to consider. Is, I know people don't think we speak for the party, but I think a lot of people have said about this also, you only represent yourself. I don't think you represent the larger party either. And it is kind of eye-opening to me that while this has gone on, no one has even reached out to us outside of the national chair to say, what can we do to reconcile this? We've only been threatened, we've been bullied, other terrible things have been said about us as if we don't care about principle. I absolutely do. And I know, Ms. Harlos, I apologize for my comment, though, in the 1 minute I had yesterday. I was not trying to imply that it was principle or whatever. I think the principle is extremely important. But I also know that resources and support and other things are very important as well. And there are a lot of, and this is not to speak toward Ms. Harlos or many people in this room, but there are a lot of vocal people who only seem to be vocal and never active, and only vocal when something is going against how they want. You know, I don't know. I've seen and talked to plenty of people who have left the party because they didn't feel like the party was ever really accomplishing anything. And as a younger person, my plea to the older people in the room is, you know, if things aren't working, something new has to be tried. You know, I ask you and beg you to give us a chance with the strategies we're trying to lay out. And I will, if everything blows up, I'm personally happy to resign, but I'm not going to be bullied into resigning before anyone has a chance to even let the dust settle, because I don't think ultimately that's particularly fair to us. And I think, or I could be wrong, that many of you who maybe even consider the Mises Caucus enemies or whatever have met me, and I think most of you like me. I realize I've been going on for too long, and I will stop, because this was supposed to be my public comment, but I'm not trying to dupe or deceive anyone. I truly think that this is the best way forward for us, because the argument I made to the board was, with resources and volunteers and things that will come in and have already potentially come in, we will be in control of that stuff afterward. And I think that is worth something, because I think Hannah has earned that trust and earned that right with everything that she has done. And I think if you all had been at her District 4 debate, where it was only a Republican debate, but a third of the people there thought she was better than their own candidate, you would be inspired and trusting of her too. So that's the end of my board report. Thank you very much, Ms. Chair.
Sorry, my microphone was muted. Thank you, Mr. Loria, for your report. I will just say, though, I have been in contact with Angela, the chairwoman of National. I've been in contact with regional reps, one of who was a member of the Reconciliation Committee. And I also have been in contact with Karen Ann Harlos, who was also at the time on the Reconciliatory Committee. The people that didn't reach out to us were the Oliver Termack campaigns, until it was recommended that they do so, and they threatened to sue. So that, I think, it just needs to be corrected. Sorry, but it's worth correcting. Thank you. Communications, Mr. Marinovich.
Yes, as you mentioned earlier about the marketing campaign, I'm the chair of the marketing campaign, so won't go over again what you said, but based on that, with everything going on with choosing not to put Chase Termont on and fielding all those questions and press releases and communications, and then the subsequent RFK situation. So I've been very busy responding to members and the press, and then also trying to keep our social media up and accurate and timely. So yeah, I've just been busy with that. So looking forward to some more.
Thank you, Mr. Marinovich. Ms. Markovich. Our fundraising director. I realize she's had a lot of personal issues this month. I don't know that she'll have anything to add tonight. Mr. Vance. Oh, there you are. Would you like to give us a highlight of how you've worked this month?
Yes.
Hold on, Mr. Vance. Mr.
Sorry.
Vance. Hold on, Mr. Vance.
No, I haven't done anything more than what I've been working on. Obviously, I've had quite a few deaths in my family. Unfortunately, I'm coming back from dealing with another one. So not anything new, but I am ready for this month, and I have some news for our next meeting.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Vance?
Yes, three things I want to talk about. One is we're really trying to expand our scope now that legislative session is out on the statewide level, and we're trying to look more towards the local municipal areas. We want to find issues that people are actually running into. One of those issues is down in Trinidad. There was a man who was he was a senior man. He was having some elderly problems with his hip, or excuse me, his knee. He wasn't able to trim his lawn, and the city of Trinidad decided to start fining him $500 plus another $300 a day because his lawn was too long. So I was able to discuss the situation with the person that alerted me of the situation, and I spoke with our executive director, Mr. Wiley, and he was able to get in touch with this person and start figuring out ways to solve the problem. Especially since this is also in his own congressional district of CD3. So that's one thing we're working on. Another huge thing that we're working on was defend the guard. In my role now that I've had some experience with my bill, our next role is not just legislative activism through testimony, but we want to really start pushing legislation itself. Defend the guard is one of the best ways we can do this. So we spoke with, I was able to get in contact with the help of Andrew Bukovich, the party CTO, and our former secretary. He was able to get me in contact with Liam McCollum of Montana, and Liam was able to get me in contact with a guy named Diego Rivera, bring our troops home. And he was able to walk me through the process. And I think our current connections with the Kennedy campaign and trying to reach out to both sides of the aisle, not just necessarily the GOP, is really going to help us put in a position where we can really start to foster bipartisan support for Defend the Guard. If you don't know what Defend the Guard is, essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to help the National Guard not be a puppet of the president, but we're really trying to allow. This bill will give more power to the states, our state's governor, to really hold back the National Guard so they're not called into action for unnecessary wars that we frequently see all the time. So that's a huge thing that we've been working on. Another thing that I was blessed with was to be able to go to the RMGO event, and I was able to meet so many different people there. That was a fantastic time to see a lot of you and a lot of other individuals around the state. One last thing I do need to clarify, because I see that people are throwing out the word defamation lawsuit. Specifically, gender affirming care we're referencing is the idea of supporting HRT, hormone replacement therapy in minors, as well as puberty blockers. that is a violation of that is a form of child abuse, and that is wildly unacceptable, and that violates the statement of principles as well as the NAP itself. So that is what we're discussing specifically. So yeah.
Thank you. I will just remind everyone, personal attacks should be refrained from in the board meeting. Thank you. Mr. Williams, our membership director.
Hello again. No big news for me this month. Got my onboarding done with Mr. Gonzalez. I'm going to be gone for Army orders for the next month, but during that time, I'm hoping to work through the plans that we've got in place for some events coming up and work on the membership side.
Thank you. Outreach, Ms. Steinke. Can you come a little closer to the microphone?
Yeah, I continue to attend local events and also work very closely with the local and marketing
Thank you so much. Staff reports, Mr. Aiken, anything to add?
I spent a lot of time working on the voter file from RFK. It was dirty, but I got it to a point where it's able to city. I did not get board reports posted because none of them turned in on time. That's all I have.
Thank you. I would like to update you as well. I reached out to Rees Labrie today to help us fix the issue with our teams that we've been having as far as our emails being available to the membership, our public lists, and a few other technology issues that we haven't been able to solve. So we will get him working on that as soon as tomorrow. Mr. Savoy, good? You good?
So good.
How's the stream?
Actually doing really well. No issues so far. Just a quick update though, because this happened just before the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for dealing with T-Mobile customer service. Thanks for getting the account and billing all squared away again.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for your help in that. Merchandising committee. Well, I got a mic, so my sound is good.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be me or Eli. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Well, I can give an update from the marketing committee aspect. We have a designer working up designs. I believe everything's ready to go and it's only simply waiting on designs. Do I have that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. So we don't have any special orders. We do not have any unfinished business. The first order on the agenda is Mark Nielsen for affiliates director. We found somebody that has wanted to try their hand at the affiliates role, Mr. Mark Nielsen. He is currently with Young Americans for Liberty. So, Mr. Mark Nielsen, I'm opening the floor to you to give us an introduction to yourself, as well as notify us of your plan. You may be on or off camera, whichever you would like. It does help the stream to have cameras off, but while speaking, you're more than welcome to have your camera on.
All right, well, I'll keep the strength of the stream strongest so that y'all can hear me. Hello, my name is Mark Nilsson. I am with Young Americans for Liberty. I joined Young Americans for Liberty when I was a freshman at Colorado School of Mines, where I became tabling czar and collected a lot of signatures, over 150, for the Rocky Mountain gun owners anti-gun ban petition when they were trying to ban semi-automatic rifles last year, and it was a big deal, and we defeated it. I also have testified against red flag laws in the state Senate hearing. I've marched with Jim Wiley for peace fairly often, and I am now the Young Americans for Liberty recruitment director in Colorado, which would work quite well with an affiliates director role, where I would be trying to bring in more affiliates and more connections for the Libertarian Party. My plan going forward would be to increase campus activism for the Libertarian Party and our ability to mobilize the young vote, especially those who are the educated, those who will be making decisions and leading in the future, creating the world that we're trying to build. And I will also be working a lot in Northern Colorado with the new affiliates we're trying to set up in Weld County, and of course, living in Jefferson County, I will be working heavily trying to expand that group and make Golden more and more of a libertarian post where we have a strong outreach. And yeah, I also have I am currently a voluntarist or a laissez-faire anarchist, total free markets. I follow the Ron Paul revolution. I want to destroy the state. That is my whole goal, privatization completely. And I've done a very effective job in the past of flipping, in fact, even a full-on influential communist to now being libertarian. Recently, a Northrop Grumman employee, a former NSA employee. I am very good at radicalizing people to our cause and helping us fight to make liberty win.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen. To meet notice requirements, we are tabling this issue, but we are super excited that you are able to make time tonight to come speak with us. And we invite you back next month for a vote.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Back to my agenda. The acceptance of Ms. Spink's resignation from the treasurer position. Ms. Spink, as we seem to be doing, resigned over this past issue with the presidential ballot, as the former affiliates director also resigned the month before on the presidential affiliates the presidential ticket as well on the opposite side. So if there's no objection to the acceptance of Ms. Spink's resignation, we can get this passed. Is there any objection for accepting this resignation? Hearing none, that passes. Mr. Buss, we are at IS Political.
Yeah, I read out about IS Political and we gave a nice song and dance about why we should use it, and the National took a left turn, and we don't want to be left out of what it is they're doing and the development they're doing. So I wish to rescind we haven't actually spent any money with them, so this is the easiest motion known to mankind. So we've actually spent no money with IS Political. So I'm moving that we do not spend money with IS Political, and we save our hard-earned money to go with the Soho platform, which is what National is doing.
Okay, so we have, the thing is, we decided we wanted to go with IS Political. Now we're deciding we don't want to go with IS Political. We want to go in a different direction. And so we need to basically reverse the allocation of the funds for this. So is there a motion? I will entertain a motion, I should say.
Chair,
I can't hear you.
Madam Chair, we have someone that would like to make a comment. It sounds like about Zoho. Mr. Bukovich.
Mr. Bukovich, you have the floor.
Zoho's great. we are having a lot of success with it at national. It wouldn't be a wrong direction to go in. I would just advise that you maybe just give this power to your tech committee and give them the flexibility to, like if national's able to provide you with access to Zoho at lower cost than you'd be able to get it for, or if there's some other tool that you guys are able to leverage in the meantime that isn't Zoho, you guys have the flexibility to do that. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Bukovich. I will entertain a motion to reconsider the IS political move.
Madam Chair, can I speak for a second?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
So I was the one that brought IS Political up originally as treasurer and kind of did some of the groundwork to get us to the point to start following through with them. On the Zoho side versus what we had before, I haven't compared and contrasted between the two. I think instead of us going away from IS Political, we just kind of pump the brakes for a second and compare and contrast on that side first. Mr. Vukovic did see what all IS Political had to offer. Maybe have, I know with him on IT side on the federal side, I think there's definitely some good use on the IS Political side for the cost point and their ability to tie into pretty much any other system from their side. I think that's still an option possibly. So I think we should look at it before we go away from entirely and kind of do a cost benefit analysis between the two.
Yes, I think tonight we should probably just work on basically reversing the motion that we have, and then when we are ready to go forward, then at another time we can go forward with Zoho or whatever we want to do. But I just want to make sure that we rescind the motion that we already passed, just so everything's freed up and when we want to move forward. So I will entertain a motion to rescind the adoption of IS Political.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a
Madam Chair, I motion to halt the proceedings on IS Political so we can go back and re-examine that versus Zoho or any other program we might want to use. Or I move.
You move to rescind IS Political.
I move to rescind IS Political, moving forward on IS Political, but only in terms of reevaluating that with some potential other programs, just so we are choosing what's best for the party.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any objection? Hearing none, that passes. So it brings us to the discussion of RFK for the LPCO 2024 presidential election. I just wanted to basically speak to what's going on so that clearly everyone knows what's going on, but I just want to be able to give room to be able to discuss this at a board meeting for our membership to consider or just understand what's going on. So after the Libertarian Party of Colorado passed the resolution to not put Chase on the ballot, they also in that same motion said they would be looking to figure out what to do next, basically shopping around or putting no one there. We were brought an offer from the RFK campaign. I brought it to my board to consider. My board had some questions and concerns. They also really wanted to get a signed Liberty pledge, which we were able to secure. So in that, we voted at the special meeting. I did not, but the rest of the board voted to adopt RFK for the presidential ticket of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. And we did a roll call vote so you can clearly see who voted and who did not. And of course, now there's been a judicial appeal submitted to the Colorado Judicial Committee. So things are working through this process. Through this time, we also met with the Chase campaign, which was why we scheduled the second meeting, was simply that I could relay facts to my board about what happened in the Chase campaign. But also I had received a signed pledge from the RFK campaign, and I just wanted them to be able to see that as well. But primarily the idea was to be able to just discuss the situation with the Chase campaign. So with that, we were unable to come to a resolution with the Chase campaign that the board found acceptable, specifically around the issue and the demand that we shouldn't be making fun of felons, and we should not be poking fun at people who the establishment political system is persecuting, regardless if we like these people, regardless of whether or not we agree with these people. We all should be fighting for the state to not infringe on the rights of others. And so that was one demand, and that was obviously with President Trump being persecuted by the judicial system here in the United States. And also the second thing that we could not get resolution out of. The other thing is we seem to come together quite amicably. And actually the meeting was rather amicable because it's ideas, not people, that are being picked apart here. This idea that puberty blockers and chemical castration, the board members feel are NAP violations because a child can't consent to irreversible harm done to that child through these procedures. And the Oliver campaign would not see that that was a NAP violation because they didn't view it as abuse. So that really is where the breach between the Chase Oliver campaign and the board comes from. So in that, the board decided they wanted to pass a motion to place RFK on the presidential ticket. So these are I'm just outlining what happened in this meeting and how the RFK thing came to be. So I just wanted to be able to bring some clarity. So in case anyone has not fully understood the different dynamics working here. Moving on, we have public flogging. This is, of course, in jest, but it is in reference to the fact that our convention minutes still haven't been approved by the board. And God bless Andy Bukovich's soul, secretarial duties are not for him. And if he should ever run for a secretarial position, I want him to be voted down unanimously by anyone. So we have made the handoff with the convention minutes that Mr. Bukovich started, and they are now in the possession of Mr. Buss, and Mr. Buss has committed to spending the rest of this weekend finishing them so that they can be approved. And I apologize for the dereliction of duty on behalf of Mr. Bukovich on not providing those in a timely manner. I have worked and pestered him for a very long time, but as they say, you cannot squeeze blood from a turnip, nor do I have the ability to actually publicly flog him, but I would if I could, because it does put us in a precarious situation and I don't like it. And so going forward, Mr. Buss will be correcting this issue. I don't actually know what's on the rest of the agenda because I don't have a pen or a pencil because I have children. So, Mr. Buss, what is the next item on our agenda?
We have a thing that's entitled member resolution. It's from Jacob, and it's M.
Ms. Chair, I don't think we need to read that at this time.
You're withdrawing it from the agenda?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Also, I realize I am frozen on screen. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Let's see, I'll turn the camera off. Is that all of the items that were on this agenda?
No, and then there was one that came in today, which was an RFK resolution that came from a member, Mr. Todd Hicks.
I'm preferring, oh, that I don't know that a board member, I didn't know board member seconded that, so I'm not moving forward with that.
I wasn't looking forward to reading it anyway.
I know you were just dying to read it. Okay. So with that, hold on, let me pull myself together.
There's no more.
That's it? Okay, so I'm opening up public comment. So anyone that did not get to speak before the meeting, I will open the floor to you. I'll need help from Mr. Gonzalez. If you're in the room, Mr. Gonzalez can call on you.
Sir, you're recognized right now. You have 2 minutes. Okay, my name's Isaac James. I'm the state director for RFK Jr. for the campaign. And I want to thank Jacob Loria for inviting me. Basically, guys, we have a lot.
Thank you for coming, Isaac. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob. We've got a lot in common with our values and your values in the Libertarian Party. My boss, who's in the senior management, his name's Carlos Sierra. He ran Gary Johnson's campaign. So we want to create a win-win situation with the Libertarian Party and ourselves. Right now, we're polling at about 18% in Colorado. With a partnership with the Libertarian Party, we can add 3 to 5% on that. Moments like this don't come around very often. Last time I remember when Ross Perot ran in 92, and he got close to 20% of the vote, but in Colorado, and he ran Citizens United, he ended up with, I think it was 23% of the vote in Colorado. If he would have been a Libertarian, he would have had a higher percentage. You know, some of the things that we have in common, obviously, are funding the military-industrial complex. You know, we have similar values on guns. We have similar values. We're against big pharma. We're against big ag. And I think together we can have a bigger impact in America than separate, okay? Just to let you know the stats, if Bobby Kennedy wasn't running for president, 57% of our constituents would be voting for Donald Trump, okay? We're open to a strong partnership with you guys. And I think that partnership, we all win because we'll get more media coverage. The Libertarians will get more media coverage. And it should help funding, not just for us, but it'll help funding for the Libertarians as well. So I think overall it's a win-win situation because together we're stronger, we're bigger, and we can have more impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Mr. Alicio Gonzalez, will you pick whoever is next?
Todd Hicks, I wrote the resolution that I emailed out to you guys this morning. If anybody had a chance to look at it, I'm disappointed that it's not being discussed at this board meeting, other than that it wasn't brought forward. Very specifically, with all due respect, there is overlap between RFK and the Libertarian Party platforms, but there is so much that goes in direct opposition. The candidate has come forward to support it, and we're talking about puberty blockers affecting, children with child abuse. Annually, that's 18,000. We take a look at what's going on in Gaza Strip right now. It is astronomically larger than that, and we're willing to align ourselves with an individual who will support that while we're denying a libertarian over 9,000. But I'm not saying 9,000 is insignificant. We can argue about now. The invasion going on in Gaza right now is an obvious example of now it not being fulfilled. We have folks from outside parties coming in here and saying it's a great idea, it's good, it's everything else. RFK does not support our values. While there is overlap, I will grant that there is so much against it. He wants to bring in government control on loans. Right? He wants to cap 3% loans for individuals for home ownership. Admirable cause, it is not libertarian. Right? He has come out and he has said that he is that he's pro-gun bans in the past. That is not a libertarian stance. He wants to expand government control in so many different areas, and that is anti-libertarian. It is so against everything that we stand for as a party. We talk about being a party of principle, and yet we're willing to sell out for publicity and money. That's not a party of principle. Okay? I just joined the Libertarian membership for reasons I'm not making excuses for my inactivity in the past. I specialize in one-on-one communication. I had a 2-hour conversation with my brother where we talked about what it means to I'm passionate about these principles. I strongly recommend not accepting this. It violates bylaws. It goes against so many other principles. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment tonight. Also, thanks for showing up in person. I'm so glad you're there. And it's not to say that your resolution won't be heard. There's a lot of irons in the fire right now, and I didn't have a second from any board member to put it on the agenda. Let's see, going in order. I have some people online. I'm going to start calling on them. Karen Ann, Ms. Carlos.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
One moment.
We do have someone live that would like to speak. Is that okay?
Yes, and then I'll go to the online people. I have 3 online.
You're recognized.
Can you come a little closer and louder?
Thank you for maybe around where he is would help a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have 2 minutes.
So I primarily came here in support of the opposition of the board's decision of the Libertarian ticket. While I was sitting here, I heard something else that was very disturbing that I wanted to bring some clarification to. I was listening to a report regarding the El Paso previous board members and their lackadaisical whatever of doing anything, that we were stagnant. As a previous board member, there's another previous board member in here. We worked diligently and hard to try to grow the party, and I'm horrified that we could be dismissed the way we were. And so I'm really upset about that whole thing. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I'm moving to online. Ms. Harlos.
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry I did not get the name of the gentleman who is here representing RFK. First of all, I'd like to put the board on notice. It's called anti-spoliation. Please do not destroy any evidence you have of communications you had with the RFK Jr. campaign. This should be considered a legal notice of anti-spoliation. It will likely be the subject of a lawsuit. I can tell you, I am going to do everything in my power that RFK Jr. will not be on the ballot as a libertarian. He's already got enough signatures to be an independent. For the young lady in the back laughing, I am here speaking as a Colorado member, but it cannot be dismissed that I am the national secretary of the Libertarian Party. I am not here in that capacity. However, if you want to talk about publicity, the press will want to hear from me about how RFK Jr. is coming in and trying to disenfranchise members of the Libertarian Party and commit fraud against our bylaws. I am sure a lot of people would love to hear me singing that song, and this bird will definitely be doing that. You are not going to like the publicity that you get. You are not a libertarian. You're a great Democrat, not a libertarian. So go do your independent thing, because you do not want this battle. It will not result in good publicity for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harlos. Also, they're in the board records, so they're in the board. We don't get rid of that as far as I was always.
No, ma'am, I'm talking about the email addresses and the offer that you got. I am asking that that not be spoliated because there is going to come a legal demand to inspect those records as members of a nonprofit corporation.
Right, those records are just in the emails. No, we don't get rid of emails is
Thank you.
what you always told us. So, okay, Mr. Loria.
Hi, Madam Chair. I was going to make a public comment, but I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and add another motion if I can. What I was going to do earlier. Or I can make my public comment instead.
Make your public comment instead, because I'm not sure the proceedings of that, and I'm not trying to mess it up.
Nope, that's fair. No problem. I guess my public comment is this. I'm curious, and someone like David Aiken, who's currently running, or someone else who's running, don't answer this, but does anyone have any kind of clue in your small pea-sized brains about how much money it takes to run a campaign? Does anybody have any desire really in this party to do anything be more than obstinate, stubborn, quote, principled people? Because you think you're being principled, and I can tell you, you're not being principled. I have already seen more libertarians in Colorado who support what we are doing than every active person in this state combined. I know there are larger numbers of people who support RFK than come to affiliate meetings because you are a useless party. You can get all mad at you want, and you can stick your fingers in bylaws. You, Karen Ann, are the exact person that David Nolan warned about in the quote that you posted on Twitter about obsession with the bylaws. All you do is care about the bylaws. I wish you had been as successful trying to recruit candidates in Douglas County or raise money or do anything as you are with the bylaws. I'm not saying it's not important, but at some point, you all have to take your heads out of the clouds and figure out what we're trying to accomplish. Because either you are trying to be insignificant and accomplish nothing. And I remember someone telling me once that we were a small party, but at least we grew smally. But what have you accomplished? Because my understanding is the minor party law was passed because we worked with other people in the 90s. That seems to have gone away. So, I mean, you specifically, Karen Ann, don't speak for the entire party. You all here do not speak for the entire party. And it would not second that motion about a special convention. Do you know why? Because we'd all end up in the same position. The same 50 people would show up who showed up at the last convention because you need to be a paid member for a certain amount of time. You need to think in terms of the actual future and not just your anger sitting in front of you right now. Because I guarantee you, if any of you can come up with an offer on how we can raise money and do something, my ears are open, but I don't hear that. I just hear a bunch of angry people who haven't really accomplished that much in the past still being angry. And I don't mean that toward everybody, but like at some point, please actually grow up.
Mr. Marinovich?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to speak, to the RFK thing quickly. Obviously, I voted yes, as Mr. Buss notified us earlier, and I'm an artiste, so I will not get into any intricacies of bylaws. But to address some of the concerns from an image standpoint, as the representative from the RFK campaign said, this is a partnership. If we're going to make any headway against the monolith that has billions of dollars and thousands and tens of thousands of operatives and all, like, we cannot just sit in a tower and throw stones and just sit on our purity throne of philosophical purity and just hope that one day We run enough candidates to get enough votes to get at least 51%. If it would have worked, it would have worked by now. So what is the definition of insanity? We all know that quote, and that's what I'm talking about here. And beyond that, it is a partnership. Yes, there are things that we differ with on RFK. There are things that we differed with all the parties that showed up for the anti-war rally. There are partnerships that we can make to go towards mutual goals that we can where our Venn diagrams cross, we can work together. And I argue that we have and we are now and we will continue to push RFK closer to our position. He already came to our convention asking for our vote. He signed our pledge. We challenged the chair. If you can get him to sign this, then that's very compelling for us. Like, after that first special meeting, like, obviously I can't say specifics, but it wasn't like it was a slam dunk or anything. But I was extremely surprised that he signed it the way that the final one ended up being. So beyond that, my last and final point is look at the history that we're in. We're on the brink of possibly thermonuclear war with Russia. The assumed front runner in the campaign, Donald Trump, is a convicted felon, persecuted by the state. And then we have the sitting president, who we all know what's going on there. And what are we doing? To be relevant, we have to do big things. We have to work together with people who have common interests, or we're not going to get anywhere. Please, I implore you that you may have your opinions now about what we've done, but save your final judgment for after November. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Mr. Mettler.
Hello, I would just like to speak to this party of principle idea because I've been thinking about it too. At our national convention, it seems that when asked what we wanted from some of these other leading candidates, we prioritized freeing 3 political prisoners over something like, say, end the Fed or abolish the Department of Education. We actually put that second. And it got me thinking about why, because we have a chance. It's much easier to free these 3 political prisoners than it is to abolish an entire agency like that. I see this very much in a similar light, where we have the chance to wake up a bunch of people in Colorado, give them a third option, and maybe make Colorado a swing state again. I think that's a lot more likely than Chase Oliver spreading the message of libertarians to 40+% of the populace. So that's all I have to say. That's how I see this.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment in the room? All right. Well, the next board meeting will be held the first Monday, or the second Monday, sorry, not the first Monday, the second Monday of August at 7 p.m. at the Independence Institute, and also online attendance is acceptable. With that, this meeting is adjourned at 8:53 p.m.